All right, sir. We
Yeah,
should be live.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, how are you, Trey?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a full day. Just got done with the book club show, and it ran a little bit over because we were like right on the end of finishing like a chapter or a section. So I was like, get it done, get it done, get it done. I did like the world's fastest outro, and then like switched over to this.
Yeah, I caught like the last 10 minutes of it, just kind of like listening, so I knew when you'd be done.
Yeah,
And I heard you like, oh, what Keith say? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, bye.
yeah. No, I'm just trying to get through it really, 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 really quickly. I'm like, oh man, we're because I know it's not like hard and fast 7 o'clock, but we try to stay as close to the time for this show as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we got another action-packed episode ready for you guys today. Thank you for joining us. If you're on YouTube or if you're on Spotify, we appreciate you. If you're over on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and a sub. And if you're on Spotify, make sure you give us a star rating, a 5-star. None of that 4, 3, 2, 1 crap.
We're
not about that.
Not even a 4.9. You give us a 5.
Or go home. Just get out of here.
Yeah.
Go take a nap, rethink your decisions, drink some water, and then come back when you're ready to give us a 5.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, our customary nose flute intro.
Yep, hit it.
Yep. I trimmed the beard up and the mustache so it shouldn't be like clogging all the holes. No, I can't. I'm congested. Never mind. I tried to blow when it was like.
You just immediately like.
Try the other nostril. No, it's not working.
Nope, not happening. Not this time of year, buddy. Not with those allergies.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome to Two Beards Play. You're listening or watching and listening to our D&D podcast where we just kind of throw topics up against the wall and talk about them. There's not too much method to the madness here. And we have a good time. I'm already seeing the likes coming in. If you want to participate in the podcast in real time, we stream every Sunday for the most part at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can throw us some chats. If it's relevant, we'll throw it up in the stream and the podcast and talk about it so you can be part of the conversation. We also have other D&D related content, and we also have a Patreon. So if you want something very specific talked about, your topic will get thrown to the very front of the list if you're a patron and you make that suggestion over there. So patreon.com/tablescraps. And there should be a link to all our socials and things that you can find us on in the doobly-doo over here on YouTube. So
I'll have you know that I referenced it as the doobly-doo in one of my videos.
I saw that. I watch your the little short videos you upload for.
Yeah, that for book club. Normally I do that when it's like I know I'm going to be out of town, so I'm going to pre-record a video and set it to go off. And I was out of town last Sunday, so that's why.
Yeah, the doobly-doo is my way of nodding to Matthew Colville, who is my favorite DM YouTuber person in the industry, period.
Does he call it the doobly-doo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've watched so much of his content that's the only thing I can refer to it.
Is the doobly-doo.
Yeah, and I have no problem plugging another channel. Matt Mercer has been in the game before I was born, like OG D&D person. And if you want to learn
Mercer or Koval, I think we switched.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Matt Colville, not Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer's great too, whatever. But Matt Colville, okay, and that's the name of his YouTube channel, is Matt Colville, and he's got a long-running series called Running the Game, and I mean, it's just a wealth of knowledge and content that I still every little bit of it.
Yeah,
and it's
and
great.
You guys should all go over there and tell him that he needs to come do this show.
Oh my gosh.
He needs to come be on. He needs to come be on Favored Terrain. You know how cool of a conversation we could have with Matt Colville about D&D.
Yeah, yeah.
So make it happen, Hive Mind. Go over there and just flood him with it, and be like, "Why aren't you on favorite terrain? What the heck?"
All right. So tonight's episode is on the topic of vehicles.
Yeah.
Which, when that one rolled across the wheel, I was like, what?
What? Well, it was one of those things where it was like, when I made the wheel, it's like, I just need topics. I need tons of topics, because the idea is, if you're doing a show, you need to do it for a while, you know? And I literally just went through D&D Beyond, and there's actually a section. If you go under game rules and look to the bottom right, there is a section called vehicles.
Yeah.
And I just put all these things in here, like every class, every spell, all these little tabs, and I just like made a spot for it. And vehicles is one.
Mounts and vehicles is, I think, the name of that area in the equipment section.
Yes, because because you were like items or like living things, and I'm like, anything that gets you from point A to point B, man.
Yeah. And I was well, this is the first obvious discussion topic that comes up whenever you search for vehicles, but there's some more interesting things I feel like I dug up, which we'll talk about. But yeah, so what Trey said initially, whatever gets you from point A to point B that's not your own 2 feet, I think can be considered a vehicle of sorts. And so I think the first one, the most like generic one that comes to my brain, is a horse, or a horse and cart.
Yeah.
So kind of to change the language, vehicle is not, we're not driving cars around in D&D.
Yeah. Not necessarily mechanical, although there are mechanical things in D&D.
There are. I found a couple in the what is it? It's under the magical items section that you could search. I found some interesting vehicles in that section.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So kind of just going down the list here. Camel, donkey and mule, draft horse. I'm not sure. I don't think that has anything to do with alcohol, but I know, I'm just being silly.
Good dad joke. Joke.
What is a draft horse? Now that I'm saying that out loud.
A draft horse, I believe, is a horse specifically designed to haul things from one area to another. It's, they're not like work horses or anything like that. They literally are like the Clydesdale that pull wagons. Like, that's it, is all I think.
Okay. So, yeah, because down here you have a riding horse, which I feel... Okay, so the draft horse...
is redundant.
Well, I can understand that, but like a draft horse is 50 gold, and a riding horse is 75 gold. And I'm looking at carrying capacity. A draft horse carries a lot more, which would make sense if that's the horse you need to carry a cart. Carrying capacity is 540 pounds, and a riding horse is 480. So... and I feel like maybe a riding horse would have more training to justify that price increase, because
I imagine, yeah.
Anyway, but who cares?
But who cares?
I am never ever going to have a difference in my game as far as a draft horse, a riding horse, or even the very last one here for 400 gold pieces is a war horse.
War horse, I know. This is really when you get into it, you're like, why are we so nitpicky with this?
Right.
Like, in the official rules of D&D, why is this an actual distinction here? I mean...
Because it matters to some people. Like,
it does. Some people like that whole keeping up with your stuff. And honestly, if I'm being true with you guys, I'm kind of that player. Like, you remember when we had our first campaign we played together, I had like a notebook that I kept up with everything we had in it.
yeah.
You remember?
Oh yeah.
I I had like all of our gold, all of our inventory. We were starting a business, so I was keeping up with what we were selling and inventory and all that. I was all about it. Like there is something to that. But then again, it didn't matter because it all got taken from us. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so there are some people that like that. But yeah, horses are kind of like the thing.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like, when we're talking about mounts and vehicles, that's like the standard go-to. Probably everybody thinks about. I love that Mastiff is on here.
Yes.
Which,
Did you know who rides those things? Gnomes and halflings.
yeah, which tickles my fancy. Elephant is on here, which is just cool in my brain.
Oh yeah, but then you're also going to come across a high-handed elf who's just going to be like, I'm taking that thing down.
An elephant? Do elves have something against elephants?
I'm referencing Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
You remember when they had that big old elephant creature and Legolas was like, I'm on it.
Yeah, I do.
It still only counts as one.
Yeah, we're currently going through. We got one more Hobbit movie to go, and then we're going to start the Lord of the Rings, the Nelson household, which we've seen the Hobbit before. The kids were just a little too young to remember most of it, and they've never seen the Lord of the Rings yet. So I think we're at a good age to finally do that.
Oh yeah. Once you hit double digits, get after it.
Yeah. Okay. And then you got all your, all the supplies and stuff that you would need for your horse, your barding, which is basically your armor for your mount, bit and bridle, carriage. So let's see, we got carriage, cart, chariot. I know what a chariot is. A wagon. What is the difference between all these words here? See,
welcome to Favored Terrain, where we actually learn to be better dungeon masters.
Right. So a carriage. Okay, I'm just gonna a cart. See, when I click on it, it didn't tell me what it is. It just gives me the description of a vehicle. Okay, so I would think a carriage comes to mind whenever you see like royalty. I'm thinking of like Downton Abbey with their fancy carriage drawn by the horse, and
it's a wagon with a ceiling,
right? And you like open the doors, and like the chairs are facing each other like a fancy limo. Which somebody on Facebook Marketplace was selling a limo, and it was like pristine, like it was like
nice.
Did you get it? No, it was only like $5,000 though, and I was like,
that's shocking.
What can I do with a limo?
I mean, mobile D&D session? No. Retrofit it and be the coolest dude at the LARPing event?
Yeah. I'm going to say a cart is just for hauling supplies, maybe, not necessarily people. And a wagon is for the people and the supplies. I don't know. This is me taking... This goes back to the amount of horses that they have listed. I don't care. I'm just going to call it a horse and a cart all the day.
Yeah. Like, it can look however you want it to.
Yeah. And what's the difference between a exotic military pack and riding saddles? Like, why do we need 4 different saddles?
I guess it's just the intent, Like, the exotic is the fancy one. Well, if you hover over it, it says an exotic saddle is required for riding any aquatic or flying mount.
Yeah, see, I'm just gonna if I'm gonna give you like a giant seahorse, it's just gonna be assumed that you can ride it. Oh, did you buy an exotic saddle? Did you go to the saddle store in Atlantis under the sea
and drop that 60 gold?
Right.
Let's see. Military says a military saddle braces the rider, helping you keep your seat on an active mount in battle. It gives you advantage on any check you make to remain mounted. So there is some mechanics going on here. Like, supposedly if you're wearing a military saddle, then you don't have to take advantage on ride checks and all that stuff. But then again, there's no such thing as ride checks anymore. That's 3.5. In 5th edition, it's all just animal handling or acrobatics or something.
Well, it says that, but you can technically be proficient in a certain kind of vehicle in 5th edition, like land or water. And then you get your proficiency bonus whenever you do a vehicle check. I don't know how that works.
Again, it's like we're starting to really get to the nitty gritty, and you're like, this isn't adding up. D&D Beyond, what's happening here?
Yeah,
not a sponsor, but they should be.
Yeah, and it just goes back to like if you are driving a horse in a cart, like I'm going to give you an animal handling check.
Yeah. And not all the time. It's not like you have to do an animal handling check every time you get on your horse. But if it's like a situation, like you're caught unaware and you're trying to get away from some bandits that jump you in the night, maybe, you're going to have to do one because your horse might be freaked out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you would think that I'd have all these answers before the stream, but no, that's why I'm here to rant and talk about it.
Yeah, you guys are lucky we do research at all. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If anything, this should show you that you do not need to know this stuff to be a good DM.
Nope. And like we always go back to, rule number 1 is the rules are guidelines. Have a good time.
Yeah.
Because I've played with people before that are very rules lawyery. And so they're the people that would make you say, did you get this? Did you get this? You finally got a horse? Good for you. Well, did you buy this and this? And are you going to be able to feed the horse every day? And I'm like, is it enough that I just bought a horse? I mean, and I had good reasons for buying a horse. I was a dwarf in 3.5, so I was running at like 20 feet. I'm like, a horse would be nice for me.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I remember at one point they were like, well, you can get a pony. And I'm like, I don't care. Does it make me move 30 feet? Then yes, I want it. God. Just give me my stupid horse.
All right.
Yeah. But if you go under the vehicle section on D&D Beyond, the first thing they give you are boats.
Yeah.
They give you boats. A galley, a keel boat, a long ship, a rowboat, a sailing ship, and a warship. And of course, these are all different sizes and they've got different components. And these things have got real stats on them. Like, they've got different parts and everything. I think this is going to be, like, if you really need to do, like, some maritime combat from ship to ship and stuff like that, you absolutely need these kinds of things unless you just want to be, like, just overall generic attack rolls. You can do whatever you want. But It makes sense for me, and there's different stats and everything. Like, let me see here. Let's go into the sailing ship. Come on. Oh, and they give you the different levels and everything to, like, the different parts of the ship. And there's weapons. Yeah, okay. So these ships have actual stat blocks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, each ship will have a thing. Let me see. What is this? A keel boat? I just kind of want to plug... sorry. So a friend of ours, Jeremy Cote, has a 3D printing thing going on right now. And he sells these, and I think this is modeled after the keel boat, but it comes in a little kit. So you get the body and like the captain's quarters back here and all the little benches. And it's got a grid. It's kind of hard to see. But it's a little kit and you can put together and paint it. It's got the mast in the middle. Like, it's really cool. I wish I had a painted one or have taken the time to paint. Here's all the little parts that go to it. But, like, it is to scale as far as, like, the picture that they have for reference on all the content for D&D. And you could just plop this down. It was cool is like the captain's quarter comes off and you can, characters can be up here too or inside and you can lay that next to the boat or whatever so you can have, people in different areas. But it's real cool. And he's working on the whatever the next size ship is.
Anyway, the long ship, maybe?
I don't think it's the long ship because that's very long.
Yeah. Maybe the sailing ship. I don't know. But yeah, stuff like that's cool if you take the time to do it all. And Jeremy does great work. Highly recommend him. I mean, if you want to just buy stuff for your D&D campaign and you can't quite find it, he'll even work with you, man. I'd say go talk to him.
Yeah, and I'll look up here in a little bit what his Etsy shop is where you could buy it. I think it's Learn Too Much. Anyway, so I don't know about you, Trey, but I get excited about boats and ships in D&D.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I've always thought, and I even did this with Table Scraps and some other small campaigns that I've run. If you want to get your party interacting with each other, like for the first time, which can sometimes be awkward, put them all on a boat in the middle of the sea. Like they won't have a choice but to like interact. You know? There's something to getting everybody in a confined space in the beginning, just to like really get them to know each other. That's why I feel like, starting off in prison or, something like that is a really neat idea. And I think the Out of the Abyss starts that way. Like you're in a prison cell in the Underdark, and that's where it starts off. And then you've got a common goal right off the bat. We got to get out of here. So.
Oh yeah, like you can't go and do all that stuff. Like you can't immediately just shake the plot tree. The plot tree is survive.
Yeah.
And you did a good job with that Table Scraps. Like literally the whole premise of Table Scraps was that we were getting on a boat bound for the new world and we're going to establish a new civilization. So the very first thing we do is get on a boat, and I think the first couple of episodes are literally us on a boat. just we're sitting there doing stuff, and it's like, what are you going to do? And we had a cast of people that really love to cut up and be goofy and role play and stuff like that. So I think the very first thing we did was establish whose rooms were what. I immediately tried to steal Dolor's room. And then the moment there was a storm, we threw a party. Like that was the rule. Like, it's a storm, we might die. Let's live it up.
That's hilarious. Yeah. But I don't know. There's something, because whenever you click on these, so we'll do Longship. Let me come on, D&D Beyond, get better. Okay.
Good.
Because it's got like a list here, and I click on Longship, and it just brings me to a generic description. If you have proficiency with a certain kind of vehicle, land, or water, you can add your proficiency bonus to any check you make to control that vehicle in difficult circumstances, and that's it. Anyway, but I got it pulled up here.
That's boring.
Yeah. So, each one of these ships have stat blocks. Go ahead, Shay. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying this Longship is, it's kind of hard to tell because you're literally just getting a top-down view of their artwork and they haven't really fleshed it out. But I'm imagining this Longship is like the Viking Longship. It's just a big old canoe-type boat, and you're all in there together is kind of the idea. You're exposed to the elements. And according to this, it's like 70 feet long.
Yeah. Yeah. So in these stat blocks, though, it gives you the capacity of your crew. So you could have a 30 crew and 20 passengers. The capacity is 100 tons, and the travel space is 5 miles per hour or 120 miles per day. So, if you're the type of person who knows how far your continents are from each other and like to measure that kind of stuff, that's there for you. But what I like here under actions, it actually tells you what you can and can't do depending on how many people are on your ship for your crew. So it says on its turn, and I'm actually reading the sailing ship stat blocks here. On its turn,
you're on. I was about to say this does not look like what I'm seeing, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. On its turn, the ship can take 3 actions, choosing from the options below. It can only take 2 actions if it has fewer than 20 crew, and only 1 action if it has fewer than 10. It can't take these actions if it has fewer than 3 crew. And the options are Fire Ballista, Fire
Mangonel,
and Move. And then it has the ship broken into parts. So the hull, the helm, the sails, the ballista, and the mangonel, whatever. And each part has an armor class, hit points, and a little description what you could do with it. So really, you can. I kind of wish that we had a more expanded information on ships and ship combat and things that you could do. I don't know, because I would love a good pirate, like fleshed out pirate system within 5th edition.
Oh yeah, like a full blown pirate source book would be dope.
Yeah.
So Wizards, give us a call and we'll write that for you.
Yeah, we've played Sea of Thieves before.
Hold on. That quick. Anyway.
Yeah. So the idea of running like a pirate or sailing or having a big sailing segment of your campaign, you could really go pretty in depth for what you want to do or not.
Oh yeah, if your session 0 is you're establishing that this is going to be like a nautical pirate thing, like make it very clear, like we're going to do this, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I really like under the action thing when what you were talking about, that it says it can only take so many actions if you have less than this amount of crew or this amount of crew. It kind of reminds your players, you're not just going to be a party of 4, jump on a sailing ship and take off. That's not how these things work.
No.
So it's sort of like you can, but you're not going to be very good at it. Like maybe if you've got the sailor background, I'll let you do 1 extra action, but still, you can't be everywhere at once.
Right. Yeah. And the way that I've always ran, okay, so let's use the sailing ship for an example. The sailing ship costs 10,000 gold pieces. So unless plot dictates that, hey, you've inherited a ship, or, for the sake of story, you already have a ship, or whatever the reason is, or you steal a ship.
Or you've been given a ship, but you've got a debt to pay off.
Right. Most of the time, you're not going to own your own ship. Now, it would be fun, I think, going back to that pirate campaign of like, hey, you've got a ship. Probably the first few sessions is accumulating a crew, getting like the most ragtag, dysfunctional people who, are willing to join complete strangers out on the open sea. I think that would be fun. But most of the time, I think you're going to hire a ship and crew. Like, or basically like, hey, this person has a ship and a crew. I need to get from point A to point B. I'm going to pay them a fee basically to transport me. And so in that case, the party doesn't know anything about ship sailing. And so I'm not going to, as a DM, I'm not going to burden the players with, well, did you, raise the masts, or did you turn the sails, or did you whatever? Like if one of them wants to fire a cannon or the big, crossbow thing, which I think goes back to that word I can't pronounce. Then sure, because that's got stats. It's got the range and the plus whatever to hit, and they can do that. But I'm not going to micromanage a crew who's never ran a ship before. I'm going to let the NPC crew who knows how to run the ship just do it, and it's going to be effortless. And then if you guys want to hop on deck when the Kraken attacks and stab at it, then we'll have an encounter that way. But I think that's an option. Or you can rent out the ship like that, and then try to kill the crew and take it for yourself, or just throw them overboard and then have them come back later in the campaign when you're like 10 levels higher and they're really upset, and then you got a bad guy.
Yeah, you do whatever the players want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like ships. Ships get me excited. The ocean gets me excited. I like pirates. I like sailing and exploring and looking for treasure and
I've always thought it'd be great if you did that kind of campaign. If you could get a really big battle map and it's basically just water, and you actually had like to scale models like the ones Jeremy builds and all of that good stuff, and you actually have like the whole ships moving and you can like plan out the whole battle kind of thing. Like that seems like a lot of fun to me. Like you stick with the what the ships can and can't do, and you do it. Like you do the ship battle. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of cool stuff happens in the ocean. So, you know, one of our favorite characters ever was a pirate. So,
I think it would be cool. This kind of hits on a different topic, but one thing you don't see a lot of anymore is the okay, you're gonna have to give me the correct name. We have the square gridded maps for battle maps, but then usually for like overland maps, it has the hexagon. Is it the hexagon?
Yeah, hex grid.
Hex grid. I think it would be cool to have a big hex grid laid out of like basically a world map.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you get like a little ship icon and you're in the ocean and it is unexplored. And as you go from one hex to another, like I've got the map laid out as a DM already, but you're exploring. So you go to this hex and then that hex is X, Y, or Z. And you spend time in there and then just kind of exploring like, oh, hey, there's an island here in this hex, whatever. And you're kind of filling in that map and exploring the world as you go. And so if you get like a clue or a map to like, you know, the something such Skull Islands, like, oh, hey, we were here in this hex, you know, a week ago. Let's sail back to this hex because this island kind of looks like a skull. And then kind of putting those clues together. I don't know. I've always thought that would be a cool idea. I've always wanted as a DM to run like basically a game where the players are just traveling, filling in a big hex map. And then
and it's basically like just discovering what's out there. Like it's a true blue discovery thing. I feel like that would, like in order to make that truly enjoyable story-wise, like you'd have to have some good role players. You know, like without role playing and really fleshing out the travel and the experiences, it's kind of like you go here, you find a thing, you kill the thing, you go over here, you find the thing, you know. So I would be down for something like that, like where you're telling me that it's going to take X amount of time to get from this hex to this hex, and I just got time to kill. Oh, buddy, you bet that I'm going to fill that time with some sort of nonsense, especially if I'm on a boat and I can't go anywhere. Oh, man. Settle in.
And I think that's, I think is another topic, but random encounter tables, like, I don't usually use them because I feel like I want to curate the experience a little bit more. So like if I know my players are going to have a couple travel sessions from like point A to point B, I'm going to plan out some encounters that will probably happen. I'm not going to leave it up to a random table.
No, you know what always happens to me when I use random encounter tables? I roll the same encounter like 3 times in a row. And they're like, you get attacked by an owl bear. And then the second time it's like, you get attacked by another owl bear. And then there's another owl bear. And they're like, what's going on here? So I'm with you. I'm not a big random encounter kind of thing. Like, I understand the mechanics of it all and why it's important to D&D, but I'm just sort of like, nah, I'm going to have planned stuff. I'm always trying to drive my story forward.
Yeah. And I think those quote unquote random encounters are a good place to do that. You know. So kind of not completely getting off topic, but this is related to, I think, vehicles. So when I ran my longest game that I ran for like 2 years, and the players got to level 20, and we like actually, you know, level 1 to level 20, had a complete story, finished it, like closed the book, done. Like I doubt that'll ever happen again in my life, but I could hope. It was great. And so we ended the game kind of in the middle of COVID. And so we got comfortable where we were meeting with each other. We finished the game, and then we were kind of looking forward towards like, okay, what's next? And I came up with three basically one paragraph long plot. Like here's the idea. You guys pick. One of them was a pirate thing because I like pirate stuff. Another one was a world, this because this is not the one I'm going to talk about, so I'm just kind of breeze through. Is a world that magic is outlawed because it attracts some kind of weird creatures that basically are attracted to magic. So magic's been outlawed. And then the last one was I called the road trip campaign. And it was going to be, and I think with the right group, this could be fun. It was going to be a very resource management heavy campaign where you guys were tasked from carrying basically one NPC, this very old man, and a package from one side of the continent to the other. And now this is in a horse and a buggy. And if you imagine how long that would take in real life, like that's how long I wanted to take. And that was going to be the big thing. And it was going to be kind of like, say if it was America, the East Coast is very populated, but the further west you get, like it's very sparse. And so you don't know when the next town is. You don't know when you'll be able to, sell stuff that you found or, get a hot meal or whatever. So there was going to be some like survival mechanics and resource management because you had a cart, and I was going to be a little bit heavier on carry weight for individuals and for the cart. Like this is how much the cart weighs or can carry. And if you can't carry it in the cart, like you can't take it with you. Like, so it will get to the point where you would have to choose like what's important for us to keep, what's important for us to leave behind. And basically it was just going to be
the Oregon Trail.
Kinda, yeah. And anyway, I really like that idea. I liked all three ideas, but
I like that because now your cart and your means of transportation is like your lifeblood. You know, like it's very important. Like if that thing breaks down, you're screwed. Like you've got to do something about that. So I like that idea of being focused because it's almost like it's not like you're NPCs, but that's almost like before I became an adventurer, I ran a delivery service, and this is what I did. Like I really fleshed out what did you do before you became an adventurer. It's like I was a delivery man and I was doing this, and then by the end of it I realized, oh crap, I had accidentally become an adventurer. I sort of stumbled into it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that plays back to vehicles, and I think using a cart and the carrying capacity that it has, and the fact that you do need to feed your horse and you do need to keep up with stuff, and then stuff does break. I think that could be an interesting way to run a game that I wouldn't still mind doing one day.
Hey, you know me, buddy. I'll do any virtual game you DM, and I love all these ideas. So,
yeah. So,
and you can also get really clever with we talked about it was just a cart, but it doesn't have to be a cart. You can get very creative with it and establish like a more fantasy driven kind of thing. There was this there's this TikToker I follow. You guys might know him. He does the bard dancing. The bigger guy.
Yeah.
I love that guy. His name is Kurt something. Anyway, I highly recommend it. But he also has a show where he DMs a series, and it's like a thing. I just don't have time to watch it because I've got all the other D&D shows that I watch and listen to and all that good stuff. But I listened to the first episode, and the concept is that he had a land mass that moved. It was this huge giant land mass, and you were like part of this society on this moving land mass as it moved across the world, basically. And I'm like, that's freaking clever, man. It's like a whole new thing. Like people live and die by this floating land mass. So I'm like, that's really cool. But also, the coolest vehicle that I've stumbled across in my doing, and I think this would be cool for like your delivery service thing if you had like a group of people, because you got to think about space and all that stuff. You on D&D Beyond?
I am.
Search Horizon Back Tortoise.
Ooh.
Yes, you're gonna love this. You're gonna absolutely love this creature. You can throw it up on the screen and all that stuff. Horizon Back Tortoise. This comes from one of Matt Mercer's books, the Call of the Netherdeep. It's one of his newest ones. And I read through that, and I'm like, okay, I want to see what this adventure is about. And I came across this Horizon Back Tortoise, and I'm like, this is epic.
That's cool.
I love this creature. Basically, the idea is that it is a gargantuan-sized turtle.
There we go. I got a picture of it on the screen here.
Yeah, a gargantuan-sized turtle with a whole building on top of it, or a series of buildings, as you will. And so, like, the whole idea is that you and your group of people travel around the back of this on the back of this tortoise. And it's slow moving. It's not like you're hauling butt across land. You're moving at what's its speed? Its speed is 20 feet. It is slow. It is very, very slow, but it can carry like massive amounts of stuff. And of course it has attacks and all that different things. So I like the idea of you're gonna do the road trip campaign. What if your vehicle was a living tortoise that you had to take care of?
That is really cool.
And so, like, you've all got your own little huts and stuff built on its back and everything like that. It's sort of like, this is your ship, but it's on land. It's your land ship, and you have to take care of it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, the idea is that it's sort of a symbiotic relationship where the tortoise carries you around for its whole life, but it's cool with that because you feed it and you take care of it. So it works out.
I like it.
I really like Horizon Back. It's cool.
That reminds me of, I don't know which Avatar series it was, but one of them, they had a thing where they went back in time, and the original tribes for the different elements lived on the back of tortoises.
Oh, nice.
And they were huge. And it might have been just, there's at least one, I think they all had a tortoise. I don't remember. But there was just like a whole village just on the back of a tortoise. And they didn't leave that tortoise because that's how they didn't die. Because basically that far back in history in that universe, like what the equivalent of like the Feywilds and normal was all combined into one, the spirit realm. And if you got off there, there's some crazy spirit creatures that would mess you up.
Yeah.
So some other weird ones. I have never looked into this book, but I know it exists and I know what it's from. But the Acquisitions Incorporated.
Yeah, buddy.
There's two vehicles in the back of this book. The Battle Balloon, which
is essentially an airship.
Is an airship, yeah. So think of a big old airship mixed with a hot air balloon. It is gargantuan in size, holds up to 20 crew, 10 passengers. So, I mean, just really think about like that sailing ship, except for attached to a hot air balloon. Self-explanatory, really cool. And then the Mechanical Beholder. And I was like, what is this?
I love Acquisitions Incorporated, man. I've listened to almost all of Acquisitions Incorporated, and I remember the episode where they brought in this Mechanical Beholder. It's essentially a giant mechanical beholder that you can pilot like it's a ship.
Yeah, let me see. I'll pull up a picture.
It's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. And so it's got a little picture, a little cutaway where you can see the inside with the chairs and the levers and everything.
Stupid.
And then you get eyeball attacks.
Yeah, because you're in a beholder.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, it says cool. 1 crew, 5 passengers. So it's not like it's a big thing. You know, you're basically one person pulling the levers, and you're floating around and doing all that stuff. But yeah, it was pretty funny, that episode. Patrick Rothfuss was in there by then.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but yeah, Mechanical Beholder. If you want to throw that out there.
So I don't know if you had this come up with your search in vehicles and mounts. Did you get the little bit of vehicle information when it comes to hags?
Hags popped up, but I didn't click on it because I'm like, that's got to be wrong.
No, no, it's cool. I'm just going to read a little bit of this.
Yeah.
Many stories tell us of hags using strange, enchanted creatures and objects for travel, and most of these stories are accurate. Instead of the usual horse or pony, a hag might ride astride a giant pig, a goat, or a cow. It is not unknown for a hag to use a sentient creature as a mount, perhaps as a result of a bargain that creature struck with her. A hag that wants to humiliate a mortal hero might require that hero to serve as her mount for a year as part of fulfilling her bargain. The giant raven that carries a hag aloft could be, in actuality, one of the hag's victims transformed because the individual tried to go back on its deal with her. So, and it's got, let's see, some hags preferred non-living conveyances for time to time, and their imagination in this regard knows no bounds. A hag might happily animate and spruce up, quotes there, any sort of object she can tailor for the purpose, such as a clay statue, a huge woven basket, a cauldron, a butter churn, a giant bird's nest, a mortal pedestal, or a tombstone. Usually, only the hag that obtained or created them can use her mounts and vehicles. They obey only her commands, and their magic responds only to her will. If a hag allows any other creature to use one of them as part of a bargain, she must be expecting an immense return on her investment. So, yeah, it's just got pictures of a giant's bird nest with a chair in it, a cauldron with a cat hanging off the edge, and like this giant, almost looks like a dragon skull, and they've like affixed a little chair at the top of the skull so she could like ride in it like a car almost. But I'm like, that's so much like story material right there. Like my little DM wheels are turning like, ooh.
Oh,
I would say hags are some of my favorite creatures in D&D to build encounters around and just use. Like, there's so much lore behind them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, well, the most famous hag of all time, Baba Yaga. You almost don't say her name out loud because she'll find you in the night. Like, her whole thing is that she has a hut that she is her vehicle because it's on 2 giant chicken legs, I believe. So it's this giant walking hut. So when you were like, vehicles, hags, I immediately thought of that, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, you can get super creative with that kind of stuff, man. Like, you're right, hags are dope. I don't care what anyone says. And people, and hags are so much, I know this is a whole nother topic, but hags are so much in the mythos that I threw one in a campaign one time, and I was trying to like give the characters something they wanted, like a powerful magical item, and they were like, and the hag was like, let's make a deal, and they were like, no. They were just, I was like, I didn't say it was a hag, but it's like this grizzled old woman, and they were like, absolutely not, no thank you, and walked away. I was like, holy crap. Like, for them to just say no, because they metagamed a little, because they were like, that's a hag, I'm not gonna mess with a hag. But I'm like, I mean, technically you have the right to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you can just using hag, like, if I had my players pulled into almost like a little part of the Fae. Because if I remember correctly, hags can reside in the Fae.
Oh yeah, they're technically Fae creatures, I think.
So they were traveling through woods, and they slipped into a little rift of Fae, but didn't realize it, and stumbled upon a hag lair, which ended up just being this really fun and twisted magical maze almost. Like, it was fun. I had like the coven, like 3 hags that were sisters, but they disguised themselves as a mother, father, and daughter group in this cabin in the woods. And so they were like, the players were pumped. Like, they didn't go into it immediately thinking like, oh crap, hags. They're like, sweet, someplace we can stay. And then stuff just started getting trippy. And it was a lot of fun because you get lair actions if they're in the lair, like if your players are in the lair with the hags. But anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff that can happen, and we'll have a special hag episode probably one day because there's types of hags and
I'm pretty sure hags are on the picker wheel. I'm gonna go double check it. If not, we're gonna put hags on it.
Yeah. Yep. So, I don't know. We got anything else that's worth mentioning?
I mean, there's other stuff under the vehicles, but it gets into like Descent into Avernus, and it's basically like demon motorcycles and stuff like that. And I'm like,
I missed that. I don't.
Oh yeah, you go to that vehicle section, scroll down, you start looking at all the weird Descent into Avernus stuff, and you're like, I get it. It's very Mad Maxy. So I was just sort of like, nah, I don't feel like it.
Let's see. Acquisition follows basic rules. Baldur's Gate Descent. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Infernal War Machines. Let's see what that's looking like. If it ain't got pictures, I don't want it. Oh, okay, yeah.
It ain't got Pixar. It didn't happen. All right, so yeah, Hags is not officially on the picker wheel, so I'm gonna add it.
Oh yeah, this is some like thrown together with bones and metal and.
Oh yeah, like it's cool looking. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have time. I don't have time to get into the whole. We have bone vehicles and.
Yeah, if that's something that you want in your infernal realm, it's an option there. So and what is this? Yeah. Baldur's Gate? Is that
it's Descent into Avernus is the actual book.
Yeah. But Baldur's Gate, is that D&D or is that Magic?
That's D&D. Baldur's Gate is an actual D&D thing.
Okay. Cool. I know they've had some Baldur's Gate stuff in Magic. That might have been the crossover thing they did, but cool. All right. Well, that's all I got on vehicles.
Yeah, I think that's a good amount. Way more than I thought we were going to talk about it, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah. I was like, this is going to be like a 30-minute episode when we're done. But no, it's good. Let me send you the picker wheel, and let's get our next topic.
All right. Do that.
And Travis likes it to come on Facebook. Here it comes.
Well, I had to minimize your face to pull up Discord.
Yeah, I know. It's just simpler. Just gotta find you. There you are. Did you see that link to those dice for a 3D printer I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure you saw it. Because of course you Google something and there it is. All right, there you go.
All right. Let's say okay. We got 128 topics. That's fun. All right.
Yeah, we got plenty, and we keep adding stuff. Like honestly, past couple of episodes, every time we come up, we like talk about one. We come up with another one. I'm like, I'm gonna add that to the wheel. Like,
all right. Let's not do full screen. Here we go. All right, Trey, you ready for the spinny spin?
Do it. Do it.
What do we got? Owlins.
Ooh, this is a race.
Is this like a legit? Oh, it is. It's a new race they've had recently.
Yeah, it's one of the newest ones. It was introduced in crud. Dang, I was gonna be so cool and just know it off the top of my head. It is where is it? It's one of the recently newer ones. Crud. Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos. It's from Strixhaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Owlins are basically owl people.
Yeah.
Shocker.
And they can fly, which we'll talk about.
Oh yeah, they're pretty cool. It's people. I think the guff that these things are getting, and people are like, "Aren't these just flavored Aracocras?" And everyone's like, "No, they're not.
They're my precious little children, and you will not talk about them."
No, they're just different now. Shut up.
All
But yeah,
right.
owlins. We will talk about owlins next time.
Woo
Oh
woo.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's all from us. Again, as always, thank you for joining us. If you found us on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like and a sub. Thank you for all the viewers. Thank you for all the likes that we got. And if you're on Spotify, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating there. And then go find us on YouTube and come join us live. Or, you can join us live and listen to us on Spotify, whatever you like to do.
Preferably both.
Preferably both, yeah. But most importantly, you can find us on Patreon. Patreon.com/tablescraps. Link should be here on YouTube in the doobly-doo. And go support us over there because we're two dads trying to live the YouTube dream.
Yep.
Let me quit my job.
Please. Please.
Yeah. So thank you guys. I'm Travis.
I'm Trey.
We're Two Beards Play, and we're out.